Hey, I'm Jonathan Porter. A few years ago, I was hunting in central Louisiana, a little town called Marksville, getting together with some old friends that I hadn't seen in a while, and anticipations were high. It was opening day of duck season, and we knew there were ducks in the area. Every year when we gathered up for this hunt, it was always a phenomenal hunt, and I knew that this year would be no different. We got to the blind that morning. We're getting set up, getting our shotguns out, getting our shells ready, pulling our duck calls out, and just kind of getting everything organized and set for the morning, when all of a sudden one of my longtime friends just kind of dove over in front of me. Had no idea what he was doing, of course, so I had to ask real quick. I said, "What in the world are you doing?" And he began to point backwards, and there was a shelf and a shell box that was right behind him where he was sitting. And as I shone the beam of my flashlight over there, I could see the scales of a snake going back in behind that shell box. Well, there was a guy who was with us who was a little braver when it came to snakes, and my buddy and I were. We jumped out of the blind, and he took an old broomstick and let that snake wrap up around it and threw it out front. Told us all clear, so we kind of got back in the blind, laughing about what had just happened. As I stood up and looked out in front of the blind, I happened to see the snake, and he was swimming right back to the blind. Picked up my shotgun real quick, fired off one shot. Shooting light hadn't even gotten there. We had one snake, no ducks, and kind of an interesting start to the morning. As I asked my buddy how in the world he saw a snake that was behind him, he conveyed the story that this snake had actually come forward within a few inches of his face, and out of the corner of the eye, he saw the flickering of the snake's tongue. Well, I tell you, that'll disrupt the morning pretty quick. It'll disrupt a life. In the Bible, all the way back to the Garden of Eden, there is the mention of a snake, and that snake is Satan. Many times throughout the Bible, Satan is mentioned as a serpent. This serpent, this snake, that's sole intention, sole purpose is to disrupt our lives. In the 10th chapter of John, in the 10th verse, Jesus is speaking, and he says this. He says, "The thief comes to steal, kill, and destroy." And the thief that he's talking about there is Satan himself, meaning that Satan wants to disrupt our lives. He wants to disrupt our families. He wants to disrupt our relationships, our marriages. He wants to mess things up with our kids. He wants to disrupt our finances and all kind of things that cause us a lot of stress, grief, and worry. But the flip side of that is we don't have to give into that, and we don't have to let Satan mess up our day. In the latter part of that 10th verse, Jesus said, "But I've come that you might have life, and that you might have it more abundantly." More abundantly means exceedingly more than you could ask or imagine. The fact is that God came to give you an amazing life. Satan tries to disrupt it, but he doesn't have that power. God came to give you an amazing life. Your response is to trust God, to put your faith in him, to put your trust in him, and to follow him, and allow him to give to you that life that he promised that he wanted to give to you. A life that's exceedingly better, greater than you could ever even imagine yourself. This has been your Realtree Inspirational Moment. Have a great day.